my time. I'm on the rise, can't hold me down, I'm too fly. This is my time, ready to shine, brighter than all of the lights. Cause when it's game time, seconds away and the game's on the line. There ain't no doubt in my mind, beating the buzzer like, this is my time.
Today's episode is brought to you by Share the Road Driving School. When shit happens, analyze, react, and evaluate. Analyze your options, react immediately, go with your gut, and evaluate what could have been done differently to avoid that shit in the first place. Share the Road Driving School. If you'd rather be doing anything other than focused and cooperative driving, get off the damn road and take the bus. What's up, fam? So, I still have my DJ trailer attached to my truck because there's just a lot going on. And one of the problems, I tried to unhook it, and leaving the venue I was at this weekend, it tweaked. As I was downtown, tight streets, parking on the streets, really high incline or decline as I was exiting to get out of the parking lot. And as I was turning while the trailer was up, and it tweaked the ball hitch portion of, there's tension back there. It's under tension. So when I did try to unhook the trailer that night, I'm like cranking it, and it's literally like pulling the truck up with it, and I'm trying to rock it back and forth and trying to pop it. So that's for another day. I've just been every day taking the kids to daycare and going to the office, pulling a trailer with a V8 truck, just burning gas. So nature, I am sorry. I am so sorry. So one of the problems this creates is there's added weight that is coming with me on the highway, and it makes stopping more difficult. This is why cutting off semis is such a big deal, because it takes so much longer for them to slow down and stop safely, depending on the load that they have, how much weight they have. And if they have no weight, if their trailer's empty and they have to stop abruptly, that trailer is still going at full speed. It's attached at that connection point. It has to go left or right, so it's going to jackknife. That's how force has to come to a conclusion logically and naturally. So I'm driving into downtown traffic to get the kids to school on time, not in a hurry at all. And it was just one of those circumstances where I'm in the middle lane coming up around the bend, however CCR says it, and there's just enough morning light to make visibility difficult, and realize, oh, we're stopped. You guys are like not totally stopped, but slow. Like we went from hare to tortoise immediately, and I'm on a curve. So I didn't get the memo until I had to react. My decision time had to be immediate. And these were the beats that followed. Beat 1, go to the brakes. Do I have enough time to safely slow and stop and keep this trailer in my lane? Within an instant, I realized, no, I don't have enough distance. Beat 2, do I have room on my right? Look at the mirror, no. Car. Beat 3, look to my left. Yes. Car, but it was literally like one car length behind where my trailer was. So I immediately let off the gas, let off the brake, went back to the gas, and to the left into that lane, quickly steer back to the right so that my trailer would serpentine with me, and I was able to not hit the car in front of me and quickly accelerate to get out of the way of the car that I had just cut off. And looking behind me, I see just dust and smoke from people just locking up their brakes because there's no warning. There's no, that's the worst part, is people can't see around my trailer to see that all that traffic is so slow. So they had to react even quicker. And then I get up a little ways and see that there was just an SUV driving in the middle lane with their hazards on for reasons, probably, but they weren't actively doing anything that necessitated them even being on the road. They were driving a vehicle probably 20 or 30 miles under the speed limit with their hazards on in the middle lane during rush hour when they should not have been on the road. And they likely caused an accident because of it. And luckily my kids had no reaction to it because I just went beat, 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 react quickly, make a decision, and follow through with that decision. And then they didn't even know that any of this was happening. They're just listening to, I think, Moose Clumps or Danny Go, or they call it Dandy Go, which is the best. So it's a normal day for them. I think the only comment they said, maybe Mo said, was, "That was crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, Dad's driving crazy. Sorry I had to do that. I didn't realize people would be stopped in front of me and I had to go around them. Sorry I had to do that so quickly." So remaining calm, making the decision, acting on the decision immediately, helped them to stay calm and not realize that there was any potential for anything to go worse than it did. But of course, after I get them to school, I go to the office, I'm just analyzing that situation. And, how could that have gone worse? How could it have gone better? What could I have done differently? And I literally go in line to Starbucks and look in my emails while I'm waiting in line, and I see this Daily Stoic email from Ryan Holiday. And it says, Marcus Aurelius was already quite old while writing Meditations. He was sick and surrounded by plague. Seneca was a marked man from the moment that he left Nero's service. But as aware as these men were of their ticking clocks, they were also quite aware that they were not dead yet. Seneca wrote many of his most beautiful letters in those final years. Marcus Aurelius managed to bring Meditations to the most perfect conclusion. He worked hard at his very important job, both managed to do good for their country, for their families, and for themselves. While each of us can go at any moment, and perhaps some of us have just been told distressing news by doctors, which gave us even more clarity about how little time we have, that doesn't change the fact that we have this moment in front of us. In this moment, on this day, having woken up alive, there is so much we can do. As long as we're living, we can do our most important job, which Marcus defined, not in a professional context, but as being and doing good. Someday you will be dead, but the good news is you're not dead yet. So how will you spend this day, this life? That is a question you can answer. That's something in your control. Man, was that not divine conveniently placed in my inbox when I needed it? Why am I kicking myself over a situation that I acted on, and I chose an action based on my awareness? I'm so thankful for my awareness, which he points out in this message. And that is the key here, is the awareness is what allows us to make quality decisions. And the best part is you can analyze your decisions later. And even if it wasn't the best decision, you made a decision, and the analysis of it will help you to make a better decision later. So you're constantly evolving and getting better and growing. That's what thriving is all about. So I felt like that was pretty, that was a nice synchronicity to that, kind of landed right in my path, literally, on a day where there were obstructions in my path. And then going to just log into our system that can take a while to load and boot up, while that technology stresses me out a lot when it doesn't work at my speed. So I grab one of my books where I can just read a quick little snippet while I'm waiting for something to load. So the snippet that I happened to read was book 4, number 48. Think, and I'm going to skip around because it's kind of long. Think continually how many physicians are dead. How, after contracting their eyebrows over the sick. How many astrologers, after predicting with great pretensions the deaths of others. How many philosophers, after endless discourses on death or immortality. How many heroes, after killing thousands. And how many tyrants who have used their power over men's lives with terrible insolence, as if they were immortal. And how many cities are entirely dead, so to speak. He goes on to say, one man after burying another has been laid out, and another buries him. All this in a short time. Always observe how ephemeral and worthless human things are. And what was yesterday a little mucus, tomorrow will be ashes. Pass through this little space of time conformably to nature. End thy journey content. As an olive falls off when it is ripe, blessing nature who produced it, and thanking the tree on which it grew. For you moms and dads, you really understand that line. What was yesterday? A little mucus? Of course, yes. And more. Diapers and all of the things, especially in fall. But man, it just reaffirmed that don't get caught up in these earthly things that pass and don't matter, and really give yourself the gratitude, the grace, the thankfulness that in a moment that required action and leadership in front of your children, you did well. You did well. And they, it reminds me of a time a few months ago when my kids were riding with their mom on a weekend that I was doing a wedding, and a deer actually came out in front of them with no notice, and did a lot of damage to the car, and the way that mom reacted kept the kids so calm that our son didn't even wake up. And our daughter was more excited about the reindeer and concerned about the well-being of the reindeer, because it's how we show up to the world, how we create lasting influence and leadership in those that will hopefully be here long after we are gone. That's the stuff that really matters. It's the fruit that we're bearing that matters. The fruit that will live on and will nurture the earth, nurture our environment long after we can't bear fruit anymore. So that's kind of where I'm at today, especially because the very next day on the way to daycare, the exact same thing happened. And this time I was in the far right lane and traffic was at a 0, no motion. And I was coming around a turn, different spot on the same highway, and I was going even slower, but still no notice, going at a pretty reasonable speed to everyone in front of me was at a 0. And I smiled and I said to myself, good thing I already know what to do. And before I even hit the brakes, I veered over to the shoulder and slowly came to a stop. And then I waited for traffic to get clear space for me to merge back in, because I had already gone through the process in my head. I was in full awareness of my surroundings, and everybody in the car was like, yep, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that's what I'm hoping for you today, is that you are aware of every moment, you are making the best of it, and don't beat yourself up over the choices that you make. Just make them and stick to them, see them through, and then analyze them so that you can make the best decisions the next time. So I appreciate you. I love you. Be well. And I'll see you next time.
9, paid all my dues, waited in line. 8, 7, now it's about time that I take mine. 6, 5, king of the jungle, heart of a lion. 4, 3, 2, 1, watch out, here I come. This is my time.